Obviously the resting ruckman down there as well. It's Hampson at the moment, so that was plan A, to have the tall timber out there, and for much of that second quarter it seemed to be working.
Yeah, it's the late goals there for Fremantle, which gave them the ascendancy at half-time. Jack Revolt out there after the ankle injury.
So the second half underway. Cochin watches the ball just ping away, and Edwards first. Clear win for Dawson. So over the top, Duffield with some dash. Now Zach Clark has the height advantage. Pavlich with Chaplin. So late in that second term, Ballantyne got the Fremantle lead initially back and then extended.
It's got to be said, a less than convincing attack on the footy there by Revolt. We'll just keep an eye on his mobility. Zach Dawson led him to the football really comfortably just moments ago. Still
no sign of Colin Sylvia or Ben Lennon, the subs this afternoon for their respective sides.
He certainly is making Colin Sylvia wait, isn't he? Ross Lyon.
Drini would have spoken at half-time.
Said, when am I coming on, coach?
No, Ross talked to Colin. Just keep him guessing.
Play on. Well, Mundy, the man that'll send the Dockers forward. The lead is on, and when you pick out Pavlich, you always feel pretty safe. He'll take care of things.
Well, I reckon that's the first moment in this game where Fremantle have brought the ball in and been able to create some space for a leading forward to come out. Most goals, well, 6 of the 7 have come from direct turnovers and also long balls in. So Pav would have enjoyed the space in the front 50 there. Just go back and kick the goal.
Hasn't seen a lot of the football, didn't touch it in the second term, but this to extend the Dockers lead. He's a super footballer. The Dockers out to 14 points, early going third term. We're doing some numbers earlier. 607 goals now for Matthew Pavlich. Jeff Farmer, Medhurst and Waterhouse combined only have 568.
That's good stuff, Hame.
To be honest, it was Mr. Statsman Swampy who provided that stuff.
Doesn't matter. It's the guy that delivers it, Hame.
Back this way.
That'll make him feel better about set shot goal kicking on this ground. Of course, the grand final, Fife and Pav, a few misses in the first half. Maybe it would have been a different story. Sandilands, magnificent down to 5. The A game is working right at the moment. The clearance is spot on and the kick just a little wide. Pavlich did lead, but the kick favoured Chaplin and over the line will be thrown in. Interesting, actually. Speaking to Nat Fife, he said normally Pav and I would get out there and the other forwards and have maybe 20 or 30 shots on goal before the game in the early warm-up. But what we didn't realise was in the grand final, because of the pre-game entertainment, that opportunity gets taken away from you. He wasn't offering it up as an excuse, but just saying the sighters that they normally get pre-game, they weren't able to get on grand final day last year.
Very understandable.
You'd accept it if it was Rolling Stones, but certainly not Meatloaf.
Colin Sylvia back out on the ground. He might be the first man to go down the race without actually coming onto the ground. Haven't seen that before. Here's Fife. Crowley and Hawley close to the line, and Crowley just happy to run over.
It'd be a tough injury to explain that one, wouldn't it?
Well, what happened was
stubbed it on the Gatorade tin. So Sylvia warms up. Clark, the understudy for so long under Sandilands, combining with Sandilands there. Fife, desperate, Crowley and a few others. Just watch on. The umpire's called play on instead of calling his own.
Interesting, that boundary throw. And I saw one from Sandilands earlier, and Clark then as well. It's almost a little netball flick. And I wonder if the umpires might start looking at that.
We saw Pearce on the end of one. Was it against the Crows last week or the Dogs the week before? It was outstanding stuff.
That was more the volleyball spike, but I wonder if the umpires might think sooner or later there's a little throw in there.
Well, the Dockers here pressing hard again. They've kicked a series of goals. Their first 5 were all back-to-back, and their last 3 the same.
What do you think, Tom?
I think it's a throw. Yep, and we've seen certainly that being penalised in the past.
He just held on to it for a bit too long, didn't he?
Well, it's one way to direct it exactly where you want it to go.
No problem with palming it down two hands as long as it's one motion, but he took it then sort of flicked.
That's the thing you can't catch. That was slow-mo, of course, so it looks a little worse there than it actually is. Nothing wrong with that one from Sandilands. Mundy pushed off the footy. Sheridan. Now Floston trying to get his way through. He's got a couple on or near his back. Principally Mzungu, who stepped up and got out of the danger zone. So let's have another look.
Bang,
catch
hold.
and throw?
Yep. Flick of the wrist. Baz, as a former ruckman.
Yes, well, I didn't get that high to get it cleanly like that. People at West Perth nodding on with you, Tom.
Just keeping an eye on Mundy, guys. He copped a heavy knock just before this ball up here, and he's come off to the bench. Physio ran out to him and told him to come straight off, so he's come off the bench and he's going to have a chat to the doctor now.
So the advantage paid here, and here he goes again. Miles, he's had a heap of the football. Disposal number 19, the kick not so good that time, and over the line. Rance and Miles with 19 apiece, and Fife with 17.
Just accumulates, Nate. Fife right in the contest. 10 of those contested possessions for Fife.
Well, movement good from Revolt to Miles to Martin to Foley. Hampson, he's going to lurk out the back. Drop of the ball, heap of Dockers. Well done, Sutcliffe. Barlow just left it behind. Marich continues on. Edwards, well, he wanted the other Edwards and couldn't find him in the end. Guess what the Tigers fans want?
Not exactly the same, was it? Quick kick in, Crowley. Crowley with a beard on. The white sweatbands, the double sweatbands, Tom.
Have their own Twitter page, don't they? Twitter handle, Ryan Crowley Sweatbands.
Crowley Sweatbands. They'll be watching and monitoring this game. Hill, step one way. Then he goes with a long kick. Subin went down heavily. Free kick.
Do you think his Sweatbands have had a better year this or last?
I reckon last year at the moment, but they might gain a little bit of momentum. Speaking of which, here's Pavlich. Got it from Barlow. A couple of bounces to Pav. Make it 3. Oh, wouldn't this be a team lifter? Matthew Pavlich. He's all class.
Amazing goal. That is a skill that is a lot harder to execute than what a lot of people think. I mean, I guess he's got the ball on the wing, so he's in effect covered near enough 100 metres with the fatigue of the game, and then the awareness and the poise to steady and stop the goal from 40. That ball didn't deviate once it hit his feet. That's a remarkable goal, and it's just the ease of the Fremantle goals at the moment that's really hurting Richmond.
Okay, guys, out of the circle, thanks. Come around the side.
Terrific finish. Great work rate, carried the ball near enough 100 metres, steady goal from 40. Too easy is what Dimmer's thinking there.
Well, the last 2 goals of the first half and the first 2 goals of the second half. Ballantyne, and to open the third, Pavlich. Edwards back in this side. Well, he hasn't been able to damage on the scoreboard yet. Cochin front spot, just through hands. Silvani. Big night for the uncle tonight. Carlton's 150th celebration. He buys some territory, does the nephew of Stephen, and well, the Richmond fans seem unhappy.
As you see Mundy here, he's about to come back on. It's just a knee-on-knee collision. He's come off, had some tape put onto that upper left leg, and good news there. He's right to come back.
Well, Pettard just lost sight of it. Batchelor, who kicked his first in his career late in that second term. He's got a sort of Viv Richards look about him with the gum this afternoon, Dimmer. He's chewing ferociously.
It's getting a workout, isn't it? Hampson, well done. To Martin, back to Hooley. Inside 50, hurried kick, tough one. Marich did okay there. Edwards, Revolt, thought about giving it first time. Touched. So Dawson, just slow and well done to Crowley. It was an interesting kick off the boot, a little ugly, but it got to where it was intended. That's a good mark at full stretch by Zach Clark.
Really important time in the game here for Richmond. Fremantle total ascendancy in this passage of play.
Some space opened up midfield. Handball though from Spur to Barlow, not great. Sutcliffe goes to ground, but they've got time to recover. More importantly, they've got the manpower. Hill for Fife. He's an excellent mark overhead and won't drop that.
Back here, back to me, Nathan. Inside 50, Nathan, come back to me.
Probably just outside his distance here, Nat Fife. He's had a good day. Disposal number 18 coming up. 2 goals last week in the win against Adelaide. They trailed at half-time, worked their way back into the game. So he just puts it to the top of the goal square. Clever kick. No one really getting a run at it. Well, nobody with their hands up. And in the end, the clearing kick from Ellis towards the boundary line, but maybe not close enough. Martin's handball, not good. Sutcliffe takes it. High ball. Have another chance. Main coming with the flight of the football close to the line. That one's okay, Dusty.
Really interesting kick from Nat Fyfe. Obviously, the intent was to lob it on the top of the square. Clark and Sandilands there just needed a bit more air. Those two, obviously the two tallest players. See Chaplin down. He's got the few in the marking contest today, but just needed a bit more air in the kick from Fyfe to make it a real option for Sandilands.
Well, there's a number of wounded Tigers around the place at the moment. Fremantle right now, all the momentum. And Barlow, an opportunity to make it a 26-point margin.
Another turnover of sorts, really, when it comes. You just see the air in hand, nothing untoward about that from Fyfe to Chaplin, but another turnover that will indirectly result certainly in a shot on goal and probably a goal.
So this for 5 in a row to the Dockers. It was a 7-point lead to the Tigers not so long ago. Dockers in front by 26. You get a thorough examination, Tommy, when you play the Dockers. You've got to be able to keep up for 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's every facet of the game, Hamish. And this has really been a good example of what Fremantle are capable of. Their key players out. Richmond playing with great intensity, contested possessions at the contest. But just if you're off that last 5%, which is the final execution of ace skill, you'll get punished.
So a couple of goals this afternoon. The first of them today. His first goal against Richmond and his first goal at the MCG. Here's Cochin. 6 behinds prior to today for Michael Barlow. Not a great kick. And Hill, it sat beautifully for him, and they're away here again, Fremantle, although Subban had to stretch, but up very quickly and running, got away from D, down to Matthew Pavlich, appeared to be held. Well done by Pavlich to work his way back in front of Chaplin. The ball just getting away from him and over the line. Starting to look really, really dangerous. Now let's get down to Welchie.
Yeah, we've seen Richmond's efficiency this quarter drop right off the park. They're running at 9% by foot in relation to what Fremantle are getting their goals from.
Pav for his second of the term and 6 in a row. There was a hand in there just from Grimes. Third for the term. And the behind only, it's back to 27 points.
Well, it's happening too often, this turnover stuff from the Tigers. Tom Harley talked about it at half-time. How many goals, Tommy, from turnovers?
Yeah, it was 6. I can think of the Barlow one just moments ago. So that's a staggering statistic, 9%. That's one. It's now less than that. It's one effective kick from 12 kicks for Richmond this quarter.
Well, Subban, he was tackled high, got out of the tackle, dished it off Hill. Well, Clark might get there. No, bounces and skips over, throw in.
It's the old adage, Shane. Bad kicking is bad football.
So Clark will get a free kick. And he's not a bad set shot, Zach Clark.
Straight to him, Chris. Ruckman, Zach.
These are the little moments that have destroyed Richmond's season.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Ricky.
Not a lot in that. Certainly, Zach Clark made it. No, that's there. It's extension of the arm. It's pushing the back. That's a free kick there. But you're right, Hamish. It's moments, whether it be for an individual moment like that or an extended period of time to 20 minutes, it's killing Richmond's season at the minute.
Hasn't scored at all this afternoon, but he kicks a major for the Dockers, and it's out. And it's over 5 goals, and they're in control at the G. It's the Dockers' second outing at the MCG this year. They won't play here again, Tommy, unless they play finals. They'd had a very ordinary outing against the Hawks earlier in the year. It was their biggest loss of the year. How important to get some, not only game time, but confidence on this big ground.
It's really important. I mean, it goes without saying, to win grand finals, you have to do it at the MCG, and limited opportunities for Fremantle. but a strong performance in the second half looks likely.
Saw Jaden Pitt at half-time. He wore the number 4 Guernsey. He was given it from Paul Hazelby. That man on screen just a moment ago, Colin Sylvia, waiting for his opportunity to take the number 4 Guernsey for Fremantle back into the thick of the action. Hill waited a long time, has Colin. 13 weeks. Over a half now. Pavlich, Mzungu, Fife. That was good use of the footy in close quarters. Subin in a bit of trouble, but the tackle didn't stick. Mundy got the arms free. Clever kick out of the congestion. That was well done by Miles. Bouncing ball now for Martin. Over the footy, Sutcliffe. Duffield came. Marriage to Edwards. Back to Martin. Now D. Miles again. Disposal number 22. Through the middle of the ground, Pettard. Morris. So can they run and set something up here? Away he goes, Foley. We know about his speed. Sheridan chasing. Long kick. Good work, Richmond. The counter-attack, they move the ball quickly, and Hampson marks and tries to make amends at the other end.
See glimpses from Hampson every now and again. This is really good play coming with the flight of the ball. Not sure where his direct opponent is, but needs to go back because of the indiscretion just moments ago, resulting in a Fremantle goal.
He's had a quiet night, a quiet day, Hampson. Just the 3 disposals. Hasn't scored at all in the last 6 goals for Fremantle. That's a terrible effort from there.
I was going to say, Baz, he probably hasn't had quiet nights of late. He's got a young child, River.
He'll be up right throughout the night.
Absolutely.
So from a disappointing set shot to going shoulder to shoulder with Sandilands. It's a tough afternoon for Hampson. Sutcliffe bullets the ball to Subin. He's got a runner in Neil, or he can choose the skipper. He does the latter, and the skipper kicked the first 2 of this 3rd term for the Dockers, and the long ball from Main directed to Ballantyne. He got the last 2 of the 2nd term, and he can get another here in the 3rd.
Back here. Keep coming, mark it back here.
To make it 7 on the trot for the Dockers.
Straight back. Time back on.
It's been a really good response from Freo, hasn't it? Questions about are they going to be tall enough? Silvani heard no. McFarlane or Johnson, and much like they did after half-time against Adelaide last week at home, they absorbed the pressure, as we know they can do, and now kicking away.
Since the loss to Port Adelaide, they beat Geelong, had the bye, and beat the Dogs and the Crows. This is to make it 4 in a row. Their next 6, they will go in heavy favourites in all of them. So Ballantyne, he gets another, and the Dockers right now in complete control. And Ballantyne, well, he keeps on being such a handy forward. He's got 4. So 4-1 for the afternoon. And just speaking about their run, the Lions, West Coast, Melbourne, the Giants, the Saints, the Blues, before they play the Cats. They may well, and is getting well ahead of ourselves, but be on a winning trot of 10 when they meet the Cats again.
Yeah.
That's their home away from home in Melbourne.
It was a fantastic game, the final last year on their way to the grand final. Looks like Colin's getting ready. There he is, number 4.
Movement at the station. Colin Sylvia onto the ground for his first game for the Fremantle Dockers. 157 for Melbourne, 81 of them here at the MCG. And he will be very keen to impress. And Tom, I think one of the things worth having a look at will be his defensive pressure. That's what they want. Pierce, the man subbed out.
Yeah, be keen to impress, no doubt about that. Baz let go by Melbourne under Paul Roos's reins and picked up by a strong defensive coach in Ross Lyon. It wasn't necessarily a forte if he was at Melbourne, so we wish him all the best.
He had an injury and a suspension playing for Peel Thunder in the Waffle. Here he is. Not quite a possession there. Grimes wrapped up. Rance out to Edwards. A long, long way from home, and he kicks it out of bounds on the full.
It's a different environment for Colin Sylvia, and he's playing in a side that has won more already this year than Melbourne did in the previous 2 years, in his last 2 years of his 10 as a Demon.
Well, he's got choices to make now. We know he's got the talent. He's got a choice to be a part of a really strong side or not, and you do that by buying right into the team ethos and the philosophy that the Fremantle Football Club have put on display the last couple of years.
Well, Sheridan, he'll bounce it through, but not for a major. He went 3 in that 03 draft, and the Demons fans kept expecting him to be such a huge contributor, and without being too disparaging, he's probably underperformed as a Demon. He gets his second opportunity. I would have thought his last club, he's got to make every post an absolute winner.
Main went back with some courage. And again, Miles close to the fall of the ball.
Yep, agree with all of that, Hamish.
Sylvia played actually on the day Fremantle won their first ever final. Fremantle beat Melbourne in a semi at Subi back in 2006. Sylvia, of course, playing for Melbourne that day. He had 11 disposals, and that was the last final that Colin Sylvia played, right back in 2006. I'm sure if he sits down and analyses his career, it hasn't gone the way he may have expected from that point. Player of tremendous skill, we know can be a real offensive weapon, and Ross Lyon has been drumming into him through Cam Shepherd, the coach of Peel Thunder in the Waffle, the importance of the defensive aspect of the game. And here he is for his first possession in purple. He kicks down the line, not a bad one either. Subin marks. He's off quickly. Ballantyne leading for him. The kick not good and out of bounds.
He's got himself involved in the game, Colin Sylvia. From the very first moment he was near the ball, he's impacted a couple of contests now, so positive starts. He would be nervous, no doubt about that, but a good time and a good environment to come into the game.
Push! Pettard's free kick from Richmond. Pushed in the back.
Like the umpire felt the need to tell the Dockers players where Pettard was from.
Hold. Play on. Come on, watch them. Come on.
Well, plenty of instruction out there at the moment.
Free kick to Richmond.
Yeah, there's a bit going off the ball here between Ballantyne and Edwards, and the free kick going to Edwards. Down play.
Well, Newman has either Revolt long or Martin, and he chooses Revolt. It's a perfect, absolutely outstanding kick that travelled about 45 and hit the chest of the gun full forward. You love the delivery like that week in, week out as the niggle continues, and surprisingly Ballantyne's amongst it all.
He's had a great game, Hayden Ballantyne, 4 goals, 1, and that's just what he does. He gets under the skin of the opposition players.
Not scared off by the tribunal though, cleared of a rough conduct charge for a bump against Matthew Yench. You'd think he'd want to stay clear of all of that sort of stuff, but no, straight back in for Hayden.
I like Matty Yench's tweet. He said right decision was made. So Revolt at the punt road end. It's a 40-point margin, and it is just drifted late. So Jack's had a disappointing afternoon in front of the big sticks. Revolt now 1 goal 4, as well as 1 out of bounds on the full.
Lee Spur in the goal square. The sun's come out, Welshie. It's a pretty nice afternoon here at the MCG now. We'll get to Welshie in just a moment. Here's Pettard to stop that run of goals. They badly need one, the Tigers, and that's better. Back to 33 points. So Pettard with some run, and Welshie, sun pokes out from the clouds. What sort of hope and optimism is there down there amongst the Tigers supporters?
Yeah, the sun has popped out. There's a slight little bit of drizzle there, but look, the Tigers are going to activate their sub now. Young Lennon's going to come on for his first run of the game, but yeah, definitely the conditions are starting to open up a little bit. Wind's dropped off and should be a good finish for the footy.
So a goal to the Tigers, a much needed goal to Pettard, and Welsh's sub has been made.
Yeah, the Tigers have activated their sub. Lennon has come on, and Grimes has put on the red vest for the rest of the game.
So Ben Lennon, who has taken 12 in the 13 draft, still just 18 years of age, from McLeod, plays his 5th game, and Grimes phones home. Tough afternoon for the Tigers. Fremantle by 33. They're warm favourites coming to this. They've won the previous 3 coming into it. Their form has been good. They need to continue to win to stay in touch with the top 4. It's a competitive marketplace at the top of the table, and that double chance, what about 7 sides are really keen on getting their hands on. Sydney and Port playing out this afternoon. Geelong, Collingwood, Hawthorn, Fremantle, and I'm sure North, all with sights on a top 4 finish.
It's like a Benny Hill skit, Tom.
That's the oldest trick in the book. Do you reckon he knew the umpire was coming?
The only thing missing there was the tap on the other shoulder.
Yeah. Or the actual staged teammate who goes on all fours. You just watch it here. Hayden Valentine, push up.
Bang, bang.
2 for 1.
Valentine's in good form, isn't he?
He's in great form.
It's Valentine's Day.
Oh, Basil.
Barlow out of the congestion. Inside 50. Pav and Chaplin, they've been going at it. Might have been a little hold on the Guernsey of Chaplin then from Pavlich. Floston arrives, the ball's over the line. So Hayden sitting down. Look at the long and the short of it there.
Yeah, he's a terrific afternoon, Hayden Valentine.
I think Hayden was taller than Sandilands when he stood up.
Can you imagine Hayden saying, "Do you see what I did then? Got one of the Tigers and the umpire."
And he would, don't worry.
I'm killing him.
Deledio got it from Miles. In a bit of trouble here. Hampson had it a long time, did the full circle, but that's okay. Deledio got it from Morris Floston. Well done. He got away from the main tackle. Didn't go quite to where it needed to. Brilliant handball, Ibbotson. Releases Dawson. Not such a good handball. Neil in all sorts of trouble. They've got numbers around the footy, though. Duffield. Mundy. And Mundy looks upfield and says, Ryan Crowley drifting free. I'll kick it to him. That's a good mark. In the hands at full stretch. It's a good goal kicker, Ryan Crowley. And this not beyond him. 7 goals, 3 for the season. He decides against the shot on goal. 5! Second attempt, not quite. Pavlich running right through, looking for his third. Didn't get it to boot. Good tackle, Hawley.
We see Jeremy Howe so often at the MCG doing spectacular things in the air. Fife is almost as exciting in the pack.
Yep. Yeah, he's the absolute complete player. Just geez, great vertical leap. He's got all the tools. I've said before, I think he's the most valuable player in the competition at the moment when you talk about age profile. If you're building a club, if there was a 19th club and there'd be one player you go and attract, there wouldn't be too many picked ahead of him.
A very, very complete footballer. And there he is again on cue, just reading the ball so well in the air, strong hands, and he does it all looking like a surfer backpacking around Europe.
The 19th club have to pay a little bit more.
Yep, each time. Join us on game day tomorrow. But, there wouldn't be a footy fan out there who doesn't enjoy watching Nat Fife players football, and I really do hope he signs with the Dockers a long-term deal at the end of the year.
So he ambles in, and to complete a beautiful passage of play, he kicks a major back to 39 for the Dockers. There's a great story about how Matty Lloyd's brother, Simon, was driving around. He saw someone in the park just kicking the football around in the pouring rain. He looked over and saw it was that man, Nat Fife, and he pulled over and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm wearing in some new boots and trying to get better with a wet football."
Black boots too.
Oh, yeah. Showboat.
Grew up next door to the Morton brothers in Lake Grace. Of course, where Mark Bairstow hails from.
It's a good mark. We saw a great contested mark from Levi Casbolt last night. We had the debate as to whether that sort of mark should be real contenders for marks of the year because degree of difficulty extremely high. 13
contested possessions for 5-4 more than anyone else out on the ground. And such a wonderful pair of hands. Pettard did well there, got the ball forward to Edwards, who ran back into trouble. Not a bad effort there. Nicely done by Lennon. He kept the football alive. Now Pettard again, running straight this time for Foley. Ricochets off the man right in front of him and goes back inside the field of play. How about that? The ball just doesn't want to go out. Marriage, he's gang tackled. Crowley behind. Duffield in front. Is it holding the ball? Can't be. He hasn't got it. The umpire, just allows them to go. That's a long time without a whistle in there. And now the umpie's in. Robert Finlay.
Speak about Nat Fife. You know, a baby is supposed to feel safe in their father's hands. Imagine how safe Nat Fife's kids are going to feel.
A little ricochet kick again, straight up in the air. It was Marriage who got it down at Cochin's kick. Free kick here for Floston. Just his 9th disposal today. The kick is a good one. Ellis had it knocked away. Zach Clark did well, backing back. And he found the line.
Yeah, Hammer, he's one of the hardest players I ever played on that 5. Just because of those, he's got the ability to take it in the air. He's strong on the ground, such a beautiful user of the ball. And, yeah, he was definitely one of the hardest ones that I come up against.
Yeah, he's universally admired, that is for sure, as the double-handed slap goes down again. The check side ball in the end from Edwards in the Hampson and Revolt direction. But again, the white jumpers have the numbers and the answers. The big tackle from behind. Foley, the tackler. Something late in this third term.
To your right.
For the Tigers. And just when you thought the Dockers were about to break to the outer side, it was Silvani initially that held Sutcliffe up and allowed Foley just to lunge and tackle. So Foley's missed a lot of football for the Tigers over the years. He's had a career where he's watched on too much, but he kicks one. And that was sorely needed. Back to 33 late in the third.
Not many players can truly say they were cut down in their prime, but you can with Nathan Foley. They had the state of origin type game in Victoria versus the All-Stars. He played for Victoria and absolutely tore the game apart and was right at the upper echelon of midfielders, hard-working player, universally respected, and just starting to get back. He had Achilles problems, which are extremely hard to shake. You get the sense of an extremely popular player down at Punt Road.
So 23 seconds remaining in this third term. And again, Richmond get it back to 33 points. But the game, you would think, in Fremantle's keeping. They've been terrific in this third term. D gets up, maybe taken
Richmond.
high.
Let him up. Play there. Play on.
So Batchelor, a sideways kick to Rance. Disposal number 22, and now Deledio. Time for one more, perhaps. Siren sounds. 13-8, 7-11. Fremantle by 10 points at quarter time, 8 points at half time, and they really put the foot down there. It was their quarter of football. 6-3 to 2-2, and at the last change, Ross Lyons' men lead it by 33 points.